The self-proclaimed republics in East Ukraine withdraw the majority of their heavy weapons from the front line in close cooperation with the OSCE monitors. The US State Department asks for extra money for what it calls democracy promotion to counter the influence of RT. A social media campaign against Islamophobia in Australia is attacked by anti-Muslim activists. We'll look at the extent to which hate and prejudice are taking hold. Hello there, welcome to RT International. It's just gone midday here in the Russian capital. Welcome to the programme. The self-proclaimed republics in the east of Ukraine say they've already withdrawn 80% of their heavy armaments from the front line, as demanded by the Minsk agreements. And the OSCE's daily monitoring report confirms it has seen separatists moving their weaponry from the front line. We spoke to Deputy Defence Minister of the Donetsk Republic. He says the OSCE has been provided all it needs to monitor and verify the process.
We have fulfilled all the requirements of the OSCE. We provided all the necessary data, showing the places from where our artillery was withdrawn, the routes it took, as well as the sites where it will be located after withdrawal. We guarantee OSCE monitors access to those sites so they can verify the withdrawal.
Well, the self-proclaimed republics have accused Kiev of withdrawing just a quarter of its hardware stationed in the conflict zone. Ukraine's military says it will only move more when a complete ceasefire is in place. The deputy chief of the OSCE mission told us what obstacles lay ahead.
We have been saying all along that the task given to us by the Minsk package signed on the 12th of February is the task of verifying, and verifying the withdrawal of heavy weapon is a different task than monitoring the movement of heavy weapon. And the big difference is to make sure that we can attest to the fact that weapons are being removed and remain removed. And now, for us to be able to say that, we need to know not only where they are at the moment and in which routes they've been taken out, most importantly, we need to know where they are being located. The Minsk agreement is a package of measures. It includes 13 different measures. It is not a shopping list. It is a package to which all sides have agreed, and we call upon all sides to implement all of these, not just one or the other measure, or just half withdrawal or partial withdrawal. No, it's complete ceasefire, entire withdrawal, and as soon as that happens, the mission will be able to verify and attest to the fact that the parties have lived up to it.
The West lacks the will to push through the Minsk agreement and wants to divert attention from the process. That's according to Russia's foreign minister, who was speaking at a news conference in Moscow.
I think everything can be easily explained. They want to stir up hysterical sentiments again, distract the public from the necessity of fulfilling the Minsk agreements, and they use statements to hide their unwillingness to strive for the fulfillment of what was agreed on in Minsk.
$2 billion to promote democracy. Secretary of State John Kerry says the American media are falling behind RT in putting out information and wants extra money to catch up. Our correspondent Alexei Yashevsky has the story.
It is certainly flattering that RT has once again come into the attention of the U.S. State Secretary, although this time his rhetoric was slightly softer. The last time he spoke about RT, he called us a propaganda bullhorn. Well, this time, Mr. Kerry, speaking at the meeting, said in response to a question why the U.S. are losing the PR war, he said that RT's influence is growing worldwide, and he had asked for more money to be provided for the Broadcasting Board of Governors here in the United States.
You're investing $5 million as announced by the president in public relations. We have failed. We have lost this war, and I don't get it. I'd love to get a briefing and understand why we're losing this public relations.
Well, I want to give you, I really want to engage in that discussion with everybody. Russia Today can be heard in English. Do we have an equivalent that can be heard in Russian? That's a pretty expensive proposition. They're spending huge amounts of money with speaking languages that other people understand and putting out information that other people understand in other countries around them, and we're not.
Mr. Kerry also heaped praise on the appointment of Andrew Lack as the head of BBG. That man, I'd like to remind to our viewers, recently put RT and its journalists into the same context as ISIS fighters, which forced somewhat of a retract from the State Department, saying that they would never phrase this in that way. But it's not, of course, the first time that a U.S. state official is talking about RT in that manner. And we remember how John Kerry's predecessor, Hillary Clinton, when she was running the U.S. State Department, she also asked for increased financing for the BBG to spread the message across. Well, that part where Mr. Kerry said about RT spending a lot of money, let's just look at the facts, and those are completely open figures. RT's budget for 2015, it's not a secret, stands at $220 million, while the budget of the BBG for the very same year stands at $721 million. That is more than 3 times the amount. So it seems that in this matter, it's not the question of money.
Well, RT broadcasts to more than 100 countries and has racked up more than 2 billion views on YouTube. Executive Director of the Ron Paul Institute in the US, Daniel McAdams, he says that people are tuning in because they want a different take on events.
And I think the problem the U.S. has is they have an unlimited advertising budget, but the product they're selling is not very attractive overseas. You know, people are tired of U.S. interventionism. They're tired of U.S. exceptionalism. They're tired of the U.S. bombing their country. If you're a Somalian, you don't really care about listening to a radio broadcast from the U.S. You just wish the U.S. would stop bombing you. But I'll say one thing. The BBG budget is only the tip of the iceberg, really, when it comes to how the U.S. government influences media overseas. There's probably another $100 million in direct support to so-called independent news publications overseas, and these are all different newspapers and broadcasting outfits that toe the U.S. line that aren't directly U.S. related.
A social media campaign against Islamophobia in Australia has been attacked by anti-Muslim radicals. Muslim lawyer Mariam Vezadeh, she launched an online group called Islamophobia Register Australia. Now, it's aimed at fighting religious prejudice in the country. The move gathered lots of support, but Mariam also found herself falling victim to online threats and abuse. On Twitter, some users suggested that she hates Australia and should join Islamic State. Others asked the government to deport her. And we're just showing you the civilised messages. Musician Les Thomas, who supports the campaign, told us it's the government that spurs up hate towards Muslims in the first place.
In the last, period since Tony Abbott has been Prime Minister, there's been a definite sort of focus on Muslims as this supposed group of, the problem group, and I think that they are a group that is bearing the brunt of discrimination politically in Australia. This government is really trying to push through very regressive policies, and they want scapegoats. And Muslims like Mariam, and in her case, you've got these extreme right-wing groups who are attacking her. They see her as a symbol that they want to try to undermine, and I think a lot of the messages from Tony Abbott and politicians in Canberra actually, they give a green light to that in many ways.
The spread of terrorism linked to Muslim communities is also a point of concern in the US. Later on in the programme, we talk to one Muslim community leader who accuses the White House of causing the stigma which links Islam to terror. Also coming up,